Hey, and we're back with an update. As you noticed, last week we didn't have an update, and you might have gotten used to weekly updates, but it is also pretty challenging to keep weekly updates going. We are doing our best to keep it on a weekly basis. We almost did not have an update this week, but we decided, hey, we can't be 2 weeks silent after doing these weekly updates, so we're gonna share a bit more today on the progression, and we're gonna do some questions. And then going forward, expect next week perhaps to be no update, and the week after to go back into these weekly updates. We kind of need some planning time and some breathing space also to do the work to actually finish the 80HE and get it to production. So let's get straight into now the progression. We've been working very hard to get to our DVT phase, and DVT stands for Design Validation Test. And this is the moment where we have the complete product basically. But at least we made it complete because usually the packaging is not complete, but we've gotten so far with the packaging that we have the whole packaging already mapped out, including the graphics for the plastic cases. So that was the PCR plastic cases. So next week we're going to receive those DVT samples, which is the PCR plastic assembled 80HE inside the box with all the accessories. And once we approve that, then that would be Chaka! This can go to production. Well, obviously, I would expect there to be something that's not okay, that we need to adjust a bit here or there. But regardless, it is a huge milestone because we're so close then to say, let's go to production. And then what is still pending is all the Zinc Alloy case, assembled Zinc Alloy case 80HEs. And those will be a little bit later as the mold progression, the die-cast mold of the Zinc Alloy case is a little bit slower than the PCR plastic case. So that will be a couple weeks later, and then we'll also have those cases. And of course, as soon as we have the case samples with final colors, we'll be showing you those colors so you can make a better decision in what case you want. Then we also have, of course, with the module 80HE, that's also going to be there with the DVT that we can approve, but we don't have all the packaging for it yet, as we don't have all the packaging ready yet for the separate case and some of the accessories. That's something we're still working on, but we finished the graphics already. We're just making box samples and also making sure we can make those ready in time. But thankfully, those are not limited to IC parts or some kind of electronic parts that take much longer for productions. It's much faster to go into production for accessories. Another thing that we've been testing, and I don't know if I shared this in the last update, but we finally got to a good conclusion with the LED bar. So we found the right way to do the light guide, where we have both those 10 separate LED squares, and it can feel like one harmonious LED bar as well. We're now just fine-tuning the color of the bar and double checking what color of silicone we want, which we're calling the silicone block, which is basically helping from light leaking from one square to the other square. I still owe you that LED bar update. We are going to get there once we have those colors as well, and then we're going to go into the depth about the LED bar. I've also received samples of the Frost PCR plastic case and the Ghost PCR plastic case. Those are probably going to be the final cases. The Frost one, we're still checking with this one little bit different tone of a clear case that we could have that might be a little bit nicer, but it's looking pretty good. And then something that we might have not shared a lot about is we also have a PET film that goes underneath the PCBA. And that PET film, we've been cutting some holes in there to make a bit more space for IC parts, but also been printing on the backside, which is a lot of fun. But this PET film is going to help a lot with creating a bit more of those foggy sounds, getting a bit more of the midtones up there. And then underneath that PET foam, on the bottom of the case, we have EPDM foam. We always use EPDM foam in all our keyboards, but we're also testing this now with a silicone pad underneath. We're still deciding what's better, but by default, we're already choosing for the EPDM foam. Maybe the silicone will be in there. Probably not. Then one last thing about all these foams is we also added a pour-on foam pad underneath each stabilizer to help out reduce that stabilizer noise, but not so much that it feels like any kind of cushioning. So now let's get into some questions.
What is different between the Lecker V1, Lecker V2 and the Gateron Jade switches?
The V1 and the V2 are basically the same switch. The only difference is that the V2 has better tolerances, so smaller tolerances. And this makes the stem move less, which creates less rattle sound when the key returns to its neutral position. So you could say that the V2 sound and feel a bit better. Then when it comes to the Gateron Jade switches specifically, These have an extended stem, which allows it to touch the closed bottom of the switch, which creates a kind of, I don't want to say clicky, but it is kind of like a bottom out sound, and that has a certain feel to it and a certain sound to it, which can make the J switches sound really nice, or it's not really your style. But they also have those better tolerances, so you're already going to notice those improvements compared to the V1.
Will 8K polling have effect on gaming functionality?
8K polling will not interfere with game functionality. I'm also going to combine this with the next question.
Can you change the polling rate frequencies?
And the answer to this is yes. So you can actually change the 8K polling to 4K, 2K, or just regular 1K polling. If you do notice any kind of interference or problems with games, then just change the polling rate. That's no problem at all, but you're most likely not going to get any issues with 8K polling.
Are the detachable cables compatible with the 80HE?
Yes, the detachable cables are compatible with the 80HE. And detachable cable basically meaning the Wooting detachable coiled cable that can also switch into a straight cable. That is completely compatible with the 80HE.
Will the 80HE have a wrist rest specifically for its size?
Yes, and it's also available on the store. There is an 80 wrist rest specifically for the 80HE. It has the exact length of the 80HE, and in this case also a special design specifically for the 80HE.
Are the LEDs north or south facing on the board?
The LEDs are north facing, but usually you want to go south facing to avoid any kind of interference with a keycap set that you might have specifically from GMK. If that is the case, what you can just do is grab the switch and install it 180 degrees, so flipped around. Then you don't have the interference. The switch will still work and can be installed. That's absolutely no problem. But the only thing is that the LED will still be on the top side, not on the bottom side. But if you're going to do this anyway, you probably don't care about the key backlight. It's just about general backlight on the keys and not the per key. So that would be fine. That's also the reason why we have north facing. Most translucent keycaps that have the legends light up are on the north side, not on the south side. When will you send HipyoTech an 80HE? And that question is coming directly from HipyoTech. So we'll be sending you one once it's ready. Once we start shipping the 80HE for everybody, that's also when we start shipping the 80HE to all the reviewers and anybody that made the request.
Will Rappy Snappy come to the Wooting OOO?
The Rappy Snappy is most definitely coming to the OOO. It might even come to the Wooting 1 FlareTech and Wooting 2 FlareTech keyboards. We're just taking a look if it's worth it or not, but it is possible.
Will we be able to purchase the cable separately that comes with the 80HE?
At this moment, not, but we are actually working on getting all the cables available separately on the store, so you can buy one of the other cable colors, or you just want to have an extra cable for whatever reason, or you like our cables and just want to buy one of our cables. We're working on that.
Will I be able to pre-order the 80HE once the Founders campaign has ended?
Yes, once the founder campaign ends, you can still pre-order the 80HE. It's just that you won't be a founder of the 80HE and you don't get that extra perk that comes with the founders campaign.
What does the Zinc Alloy case sound like?
That's a good question. We still owe you guys a Zinc Alloy sound test. The one on the website is from the PCR ABS plastic case. That one has lubricated stabilizers because we don't have the factory loop stabilizer just yet. With the DVT samples, we will have them. Then we have a much more accurate representation of what the sound will be. But it's going to be very close to what you already can hear on the website. When it comes to the Zinc Alloy one, however, we've not done a full assembly just yet to do a good sound test. I've done one myself, 2-part, but it's just not the final thing. I can tell you that the heavier case does impact it and stabilize the sound a bit more. You get a lot less sound from the table specifically. But I'll get more into that once we have an actual full sample that we can do the sound test on. Because right now it's just more of scrapping samples together. But don't worry, it's not going to sound any worse than what you've sounded on the website. So if you like the sound that we already have on the website, then this can only be the same or better. A question I sneaked in between.
Is everybody still alive in Taiwan?
Yes, we're still alive in Taiwan after the huge earthquake that we've experienced here. Everything is actually pretty good. We have had no damages and nobody injured on our team. We have quite a big team here in Taiwan. And yes, this background of me is also from Taiwan. We're all doing good. Thanks for your concern for the people that did ask. And that's it. And we'll see you in the next update. Bye-bye.
Just quickly swooping by, just to say sorry for everybody who's waiting for a very long time for their ticket to be handled by customer support. Customer support right now is pretty overwhelmed because of the sheer amount of tickets we have received because of the 80HE launch campaign. And the holidays definitely haven't helped either. Time-sensitive matters like shipment issues or other time-sensitive matters is something we try to address as quickly as possible, and that also means that some tickets may actually be taking a bit longer for us to respond to. We will definitely help you out. One way we're actually trying to get back on track as soon as possible is that we're hiring for customer service. So if you think you're a good fit for the Wooting team, then definitely try to apply for the job in the description below, and maybe you'll be part of the team. And that's it. Apologies once again for the delay. Hope to get back on track as soon as possible, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.